Good afternoon, Los Angeles. All right, we got the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. Because when you're from New York, you say, and that's how we talk. Anyway, each week we have the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS. The show is about business. We try to teach you something about business. Sometimes we'll be interviewing a founder or CEO of a company. Sometimes we'll be just trying to teach you something because we're all about trying to help people out. That's what the Ask Brien show is all about. And my co-host, Traci, is the one who tries to help us out and explain why Brien is spelled with an E. Because when we went to school, everyone named Brien was B-R-Y-A-N or B-R-I-A-N. Nobody was spelling it B-R-I-E-N except for the people down the street that were, the potatoes that were dealing from Ireland, and their last name was O'Brien, and they owned the local pub down the street. But nobody else spelled Brien that way, right?
Why do we spell Brien with an
not
E?
Y. E, not Y.
E-O-E-O-E. Why do we spell Brien with an E? Yes, well, first of all, we spell Brien with an E in honor and celebratory fashion for our engineer, of course. So we always have to recognize first.
So the first E, the first reason is engineer. Is that correct?
That is correct. You have yes, that is correct. And the second, we're not really going in, I just want to say for the record, we're not going in any kind of chronological order after the engineer. The engineer is always number one, and then it's a free-for-all after that. So is our show a free-for-all.
But our show is a free-for-all, right? In fact, the guest is like
free-falling. Our show is actually free-falling.
A lot of E's and free, by the way. 2 E's and free.
Yeah. Good, double E's and free, too, so that's always good. But then you get what you pay for. So anyway, I digress. So our experts are probably our number 2 because without our experts, we really couldn't have our show. And we have a fun little mathematical formula as to how we define experts, and it's not really necessarily our formula. We just refigured it for our purposes. So if you are an expert on the Ask Brien radio show, then you have had at least 10,000 hours accumulated in your specific industry or business category. And most of our experts have hundreds of thousands of hours in their specific industry or category. But how we derive at that is that they say that if you're working in any field and you do, roughly 40 hours a week over the course of 50 weeks or so, and you do that for about 5 years, then yeah, that makes you an expert. But we know, and our experts have proven and told us so, that they work much more than 40 hours a week, especially in the startup phase. And so we figure that's probably more of a 3-year curve than a 5-year curve. So that's our little mathematical formula. And then there's always education, because without the engineer to get us here and the experts to get it out, we would not be able to educate our amazing listeners, fans, and followers. And so education is a huge part of the Ask Brien show, right?
Absolutely.
And I always like to reiterate how important empathy is to our listeners, to our guests, to our team.
What does that mean?
And exactly. And I know that I always have to reiterate it because I always have to restate it because it's not your strong suit. But that's okay.
Excuse me, as a host, you have to be narcissistic. What are you talking about?
Today I was stuck in a cab on the way to the studio.
You said an Uber. Okay.
And my text back from you was like, well, if you're late, I'm just going to make fun of you. So, yeah, real good example of empathy there. Love that.
Yeah, I would have made fun of you even if you're on time, so it doesn't really matter.
Yes, I know that.
And
that's
the
why
engineer
I wasn't
I'm going
afraid
to
to
start
say
making
it.
fun of, too. I just have to get my thing going.
Okay, moving on. So, and another thing that we really like, which you're showing a lot of today, is some enthusiasm around the Ask Brien radio show and all of our experts.
And I'm excited! screamer?
eardrums are busted. And yes, so you're excited. We love enthusiasm. And our guest is going to be really bringing the expertise with him today as well. And so I guess that kind of takes us down to our one last favorite, right?
Well, I guess it's your one last favorite, but okay. Should I start you off?
Of course, always. It's the
All right,
best.
so remember that movie, Grease? So remember when the guy's going Grease Lightning and he's going like this? What is your favorite one? Grease.
Okay.
Grease what? He's on the car.
Grease Lightning, because we are, you're not going to believe this, but I've already forgotten what it is.
Electrifying! Grease Lightning is electrifying! All right.
I didn't really forget. I just wanted to hear you.
That was not very empathetic. See, I learned. That was not very empathetic. Okay.
No, it was a little tricky, but no, because we are electrifying. I just wanted to see if you did it like I did it. But anyway, here we are. We have an awesome guest today. So excited. And
he's
let's
like,
get into it.
He's looking at me like, Peter, I don't understand how you got me here. You know, if I knew all this stuff was going to happen, there's no way I would have came. You really talked me into it. Now I'm going to have to double charge you. But anyway, here he is.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
And do you go by the name of? Do you go by Isaac or Isaac? Your last name, because I know your last name.
It's Isaac with an I, not an E.
All right. Well,
that's okay.
We'll fix that later on. You know, you're going to switch your name, just like Brian Piper. We fixed his name too. We'll fix yours. So Isaac, my understanding is your background. You have a lot of background, but actually, first, let's tell the audience a little bit about your background, then we'll go into.
So I think I'm an expert because 10,000 hours, right? I know I have 10,000 hours, so I'm an expert. I think I'm an expert. I know I'm an expert. So, no, I got started in digital marketing back in '99, 24 years ago.
Did they have that back then?
It was all kicking off. I was in the right place at the right time. I was born and raised in Santa Monica. Came out of college and I was back in Santa Monica, and that's where there was a lot of internet money, internet startups.
My condolences for where you're.
I was in the right place at the right time. Geographical luck. So you could walk in any direction and get a job in digital marketing. So I got started at an e-commerce company. You know, they had about $10 million in investment. I learned a lot about affiliate marketing there. Then I went to an agency in West LA. Like I said, it was awesome being in West LA, Santa Monica area, back in the early 2000s, the late 90s. And then really learned about web design, search engine optimization, how to monetize websites, and that's when Google Ads. That's when Google got started. So I was actually doing SEO before Google for the likes of Lycos, Alta Vista, Ask Jeeves. Like those were the sites we were doing SEO for. And then Google came along. It was a paradigm shift. It was a very simple. When we first saw Google, you know, the search, the front page was just a search form, just to put in your search, with the Feeling Lucky tab also, if you want to go straight to that website if you're feeling lucky. So it wasn't a portal like Yahoo or like the other ones. So that was very interesting, and it was just so fast and so relevant. And that kind of started off the whole Google dominating search. Google started getting a lot of traffic, getting big. That's when they started the ads. And no one was doing ads yet. We had some large clients, so they actually were vetting us out and, you know, to do ads because they knew we had these big clients. So they used to kind of cold call us, and it was a small company back then, and they started visiting our office. This was like early Google employees. It was like employee number 7 and employee number 300 visiting our office, telling us about this, and we eventually got convinced to do it. So we started running Google Ads. We're one of the first companies. Well, we actually ran the first ever travel Google Ads for a travel company, and
that was prior to Expedia.
Expedia was around back then, yeah. And one of our clients was as big as Expedia. So,
what was that company? Do you remember?
Cheaptickets.com.
Oh, Cheap Tickets.
Yeah.
I remember them.
So, and they actually used to give us, there were still, it was 20, 25 years ago. So that was when they'd come by, give us pens, they'd give us pins. So I actually have still have one of those pins. It's on my desk that they used to give us. And every year they'd send us things, so they don't have to do that anymore.
Well, we're expecting a lot of pins. In fact, the engineer wants a pin. Traci wants a pin. And the first 10 calls to KHTS 1220 98.1 FM will get a pin.
Like I said, I do have a hat
You
for you.
could probably sell that thing on eBay.
I do have a hat for you. So.
Wow, that's really incredible. I really want to get more into the SEO part, but I do remember you were like weren't you one of the first affiliates at what was the name of that company?
Yeah, that was cool because we were the agency and.
Well, tell them they don't know who it is. I do.
Yeah, that was awesome. This was LegalZoom, so Brian Liu used to come in our office and they needed SEO, so got to know them early on, and we did SEO for LegalZoom. Brian Lee, Brian Liu. They started. We call them the two Brians. So they're awesome.
But they didn't spell it with an E.
Extremely with an I. So, and after I departed the agency, I was still working with LegalZoom and in their affiliate program, and I was for years, and probably 15 years after. So, congratulations to them for doing so well.
Brian Lee was my client one time.
That's small world.
So we both had the same client.
Small world.
All right. So you have a great background, very interesting. But the audience here really wants to learn about SEO. So first of all, we're going to start off with a real basic stuff. I have a knowledge of it, but not everybody does. So first, just explain what is SEO. We know it stands for search engine optimization, but after that, people get lost. So give a kind of a quick background on what SEO is.
So it has to do with you have a nice website, you built a website, who's going to come to the website, how are they going to find out about the website? So it has to do with ranking your website so you can get eyeballs, you get traffic to your website. And it's just the whole kind of arena of steps you need to do and services and tasks you need to do. It's trust me, we have a checklist of everything we need to do when we onboard a client. It's there's like 80 steps and it takes weeks. After that, there's a lot of ongoing work you need to do. But I'm just trying to kind of put it in layman's terms. If you could have the nicest restaurant with the best food, but if no one's going there, how are you going to get people in the door? So it's not a situation of if you build it, they will come. You have to do.
I liked Field of Dreams. That was a good movie.
You have to do additional work to get people there, and you kind of have to earn your way there. You also have to kind of claim your way there. You have to make sure your Google, your business profile is claimed, and that it's current, and that it's getting reviews, that it's has the right keywords in there, that there's activity. You have to show life. You have to show Google that you have life, that you have popularity, and then they're going to start ranking you higher. You're going to be able to get more clients. If you're a doctor, get more patients. If you're retail, get more sales.
But isn't that a chicken and egg situation? I mean, how do you're saying that Google will give you more, but how are you going to get more if you don't have something to start with?
Well, you have your excellent service. You have your excellent product. So you're starting right there.
Well, one thing is you're talking about when you're talking about SEO, we're talking about organic, right? We're talking about ranking on the front page, correct?
Correct.
And does SEO include the Google Maps, or is that excluded from SEO?
That includes it. That's included in organic.
And
yes.
Is that separate?
That's a part of it. That's an arm of it.
But that works for local. What if you're selling, widgets on eBay? Is the Google Maps even have any value to you?
Well, if you don't have an address, you can't play in that arena. So you need to have a registered business address. You need to claim it. You need to connect it, and then you can play ball with, Google Business. So yeah, some there's plenty of industries that they don't have an address claimed with it, but it does help to claim your address because it adds trust. Because if you're going to spend money, you're going to buy a bicycle from a website. you might want to research the company a little, look at their reviews, see where they're located. Is there a phone number? If you have problems, then you can call them and say, there's accountability.
I thought the whole point with an online business is you could be anywhere.
Well, there's that too. I mean, you can be anywhere. You can be anywhere. Yeah, you can be. If you're providing an amazing service halfway around the world, then yeah, it doesn't.
Or a product at a cheap price that's good quality, right?
Or product, yeah. So some services you can't provide from anywhere, though. Obviously, like if you're a dentist,
well, yeah,
you can't. You
or
have
a dry
to be,
cleaner.
They have to come into your office for services, or dry cleaner. So it just depends.
So let's break down a little bit. We're going to be taking a break in 4 minutes. So first on SEO. So first you've got the Google Maps, right? Then underneath that, this is on the first page of Google, right? So let's go back. You have advertising, which people can do paid advertising. That's typically the first 3 to 5. Then after that, then you've got the maps potentially, right? And then underneath that, you have your ranking. Is there any other part of SEO in terms of what people need to know about that?
Any other part? There's a lot. There's a lot that people need to know. You can have a nice website. How does it perform on the back end? How quickly does it load? How accessible is it? Is it following best practices? How's the performance? So you could actually go, if you're on Chrome, you can go on your website, click Developer Tools. Then you can get into Lighthouse, and you can run all the tests on your page for
so
mobile
what is that?
and PC
Basically,
version.
you're doing an audit.
Yeah, that's one form of an audit for the performance, the SEO, like I said, the accessibility of your website. So that's one. That's one.
So what does that mean, accessibility? I mean, isn't it true that I can just click on my iPhone or the computer right over here and just log into a website? What does that mean, accessibility?
There's dozens of descriptions of that on there. It has to do with if you're on a website, if you're on mobile, what's the user interface, the user experience, the UX UI, like how is that? So it's quantified in a lot of different ways. Regarding performance and speed, it has to do with how quick the first part of the site loads, how quick the last part of the site loads. It can also tell you how quick it loads until you can actually interact with the website, and it can give you suggestions on how to improve that, because nobody has the patience to wait in 15 seconds for a site to load on their mobile. They'll be gone.
Peace, man. Peace. All right. So I got a 2-minute warning, kind of like the NFL football.
Is there anything else though? I know you talked about Google Ads, so SEO is actually, bless you, is actually a little related to Google Ads, because having your page set up correctly will help Google Ads, will help some of your scores on Google Ads. SEO invariably does help Google Ads in a way.
So let me ask you that question. If I'm spending more money in ads, does that mean I'm going to get better ranking on the SEO portion?
Nope.
Okay, so it's not like...
Unless you're spending serious money and you have a serious problem, maybe. Like you're like banned from organic, but you're spending like $100,000, because I've seen this. Literally. If you're spending $250 a month on ads, and your site is blacklisted organically from Google, and you really work your contacts and your network, and you can probably get your site back in organic. Yes. On a large scale, but on a small scale, no.
We only have about 40 seconds left, so let's just quickly go over. We don't want to get blacklisted, but what are some reasons that you would?
You could get blacklisted. So we actually get a fair amount of clients from companies who they have a virus on their website. So for example, there's one virus called the Japanese keyword hack, where your website will be taken over. They'll add 10,000 pages of content. It will not be in English, and then it'll have links to affiliate, to monetize through affiliate, or to purchase something e-commerce. So that's something that happens to businesses. It was happening a lot 2 years ago, and we'd go in there and we'd remove it, and they would be totally tanking in Google, and we would have to kind of revitalize everything. So
Thanks, Isaac. We got to take a break. You're listening to KHTS 1220, 98.1 FM, the Ask Brien Show. Welcome back. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. Like no other station in the world! Did you know that? KHTS is like no other station in the world. I mean, who has us?
World
right?
famous.
Exactly. World famous for what? We don't know. Anyway, so...
AI, right?
Well, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to
Okay.
go over SEO. Because
Okay, cool.
first, people need to understand what SEO is.
Got
right?
it.
And so we've gone over a couple things, what SEO is. Now, the only thing I know about SEO is content and backlinks. So try to explain to people what that means and how you can rank. How do you actually rank? I mean, you know, everybody wants to know, hey, I own the bakery in Newhall on Main Street. How in the world am I going to rank?
I mean, if you own a bakery in Newhall, you try to get a backlink on LA Weekly. Try to get it right up on LA Weekly. That's going to really send Google a lot of love to your web profile, to your backlink profile, because that is a local link. It's a magazine that has editors,
right? But
so it's a trustworthy link.
First, explain why people need backlinks and why that increases your pushes you up the page, because people don't understand.
Getting a backlink is it shows popularity in your business, in your website. It's a way for Google to quantify your popularity. Also, another way, obviously, like I said, I talked about the reviews earlier. That's kind of another thing they can look at for the local. But back to the backlinks, or back to the bakery example. So if you have a bakery, obviously a website helps. You start getting into social media. You know, social media would be perfect for a bakery, showing activity on there. The reputation. So people are gonna you serve a food. There's going to be reviews. How do those reviews look? How do those review sites look? Is everything connected together? So kind of those three things for a bakery: is website, social media, reputation, and everything under that.
All right. Well, you're an expert. Not everybody understands. First of all, explain to people what a backlink means.
Well, if you go to laweekly.com and you pull up, I'm just giving an example, and you read an article there, go through the article, say if the article is talking about cupcakes, because you mentioned
I
bakery.
like cupcakes.
Because you mentioned bakery.
Cupcakes are my
There might be something in the article where they talk about maybe they get into the red velvet type of cupcakes, and maybe that's an opportunity for LA Weekly to link to something about red velvet cupcakes, or they talk about birthday party cupcakes. So if you click on that link, that is a backlink from LA Weekly to the bakery website or to another website. So that Google sees those, and it scores you a lot of points for your website, SEO-wise.
How many links do you need? So let's say I'm on page. I just started a website. So in cupcakes in LA, I'm probably going to be what, page 10, 20, 30, right? Mm-hmm. Is that correct, or?
In LA, it depends for which keyword for LA bakery. You would be way below 30. You'd be way below that if you just started a website.
Okay, so how am I going to push myself up? Let's just first focus on backlinks, then we'll talk about content and other ways to do it. But so how do you do that on backlinks? You call out LA Weekly, but they may not want to write.
You can start off with your foundational backlinks, which are the ones you can go to your competitors and see what they have, and be like, okay, go down the list. These are backlinks I definitely need to get. I mean, go to your competitors that have a good site and that are ranked well, and you can go down there. How do you know? So if you go to a competitor, how do you know what their backlinks are? Well, you got to have tools. I mean, there's a lot of tools. Could do a whole show about tools, about the tools we use. I mean, tools are obviously important in any industry. Can you go to Google and type in backlink LegalZoom, and it'll tell you which ones they have? You can't do that, but if you type that, it'll just tell you all the third-party websites that you can get a subscription to view websites backlinks on. Yeah. And then, so you get this list, and then what do? You email everybody, or you go after 3 or 4? How do you? Some of them, because people don't. Some of them you can't get. Some of them are easy to get. You just have to look. It takes time. If you don't have experience in doing it, it does take a lot of time. So to figure it out, we can look at them right away and know if we can get in there or not. And on some of the difficult ones, we know what we need to do.
So give us some tips to the audience.
Give us some tips.
Without giving away your business.
There might be one website where you need to provide valuable, informative content. So if you can connect with the right person there, and provide content for them, provide something usable, then that's a way to get on. Some it might be a magazine where you need to get into a directory of a service directory, say for orthodontists. It might have to be something where you might need to pay to get in, because it's kind of a sponsored backlink there. And there's also, you got to remember too, about the sponsored ones are not as valuable as one that comes from an editorial source. Like if it's an article on LA Weekly, for example, I'm just using LA Weekly because we're in LA, but and it's a good website. If it's an editorial one with an author, the gatekeeper is an author that has a lot of authority and a lot of experience and a lot of trust. That backlink is going to have more value than maybe a sponsored one.
But to get that, you just have to, I guess, make a list of different publications and try to get into those publications, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what about?
But a good SEO agency might already be in those publications, so that's why you can really fast track it if you work with the right company. You can really fast track your rankings. And what do rankings translate into? They translate into sales. So you can start earning more revenue right off the bat, as opposed to if you're trying to figure it out yourself, it could take months, it could take years. Whereas some agency might already have those pre-existing relationships. They might even already be the author on some of those websites.
It sounds almost like PR, right? Public relations.
You're getting into, I call it junior PR.
Yeah.
You're getting into junior PR. For example, you can get, say if you have a client in Beverly Hills who's like in some cosmetic industry, like you'd want to get in a fashion magazine, right? You'd want to get in something like that. That's kind of like high-level PR. If you got in one of those high-level fashion magazines, that'd be high-level PR. Low-level PR is maybe getting in one section of USA Today. That would be more what I consider lower-level PR. So you start getting into the lower-level PR, but we also have relationships with some of the higher-level PR, which you can get into those fashion magazines, or you can get into like the really, you can get into the New York Times, LA Times.
Well, I imagine New York Times, LA Times has got to be really, really tough, right?
Really tough, yes.
But
really tough. You also want to get in there and have it stay in there. You don't want it to get in there and disappear after 2 years or disappear after 2 months, and you want it get in there the right way. There's another list of the right way to be in there. How you want the link set up.
So
what page it goes to.
We got about 50 seconds before our sponsor. So
cool.
How would you? What can you do to make it stay? So great. I got lucky. I'm in LA Weekly from my bakery, right? And I want it to stay there. What can I do to make it stay there? I'm not the LA Weekly.
You have to monitor it. If it comes down, you have to reach out to them and be like, hey, what happened? So
it's basically it's a publisher.
That's one reason, is monitoring it. Also making sure your site is legit and it's up and it's not 404. I mean, it can go down. If your site goes 404 for a while.
People don't know what 404 is.
If it could go down and fail to load or load really slow, then the magazine website could see it through its system or its analytics or its own little audits, internal audits it might do every week, and it can see that it's down, and then it'll just remove your backlink.
Well, is our sponsor here?
We're waiting.
Okay.
Someone called before, and then there was a dial tone, so I'm keeping an eye on it.
Hold on, let me just check something out here. Maybe she's calling now. Let's see. If not, I'll be doing it myself.
We'll try it.
AI timer now.
No, I just think it's a new phone system they have. It's not so. Not so.
You are joining the conference room as a moderator.
Is anybody there? I guess not. Let's see. Let's see. We'll give her another second. If not, we'll have to just quickly go to our sponsor. We don't have a lot of time today, and we've got a lot of information to learn. So let's see. Somebody is calling on the bat phone. It's not the red phone, like the commissioner uses on the Batman when you go pow, bang, tang. Remember that?
Man, you're going way back. You're going too far
that was
back.
Batman before they had the movie.
You're going too far back. No, I remember that version of that one. Yeah.
Pow, and
whenever
the commissioner with the white hair.
Whenever that one came on, I was like, dang.
Exactly.
This is the really old one.
So we're going to see if somebody's there. Is somebody there? Let's see.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you. Okay. All right. Thanks for calling in, Nicole. I know you're the spokesperson for Legal Steps, LegalStepz.com. And we're talking to a .com guy over here. So anyway, people want to know what Legal Steps is all about. In fact, Isaac was asking, what is Legal Steps all about? He asked me, what do they do? So what exactly is Legal Steps, since you're the sponsor?
So I guess my best description of Legal Steps would be that it is the easiest way to form a California business. It is the easiest place to turn to if you're on a budget and need somebody with a lot of experience to help guide you and register.
You are joining the conference room as a moderator.
Well, that was an interesting one. Did we lose Nicole? Nicole, are you there? We're getting...
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. For some reason, somebody wanted to hit another button. Anyway, that was great. But Legal Steps, I always think of Legal Steps, I think of the Supreme Court, because they'll have the camera on and some event is happening at the Supreme Court, Roe v. Wade is being overturned or something like that, and I see these steps. That's what I think of Legal Steps. Are these the same steps?
I believe that they would be a little bit more simplified. They're just as important and just as thorough, but a little bit more geared towards the everyday user to be able to navigate some legal parameters again when it comes to starting a business.
And they're courses, right? Basically, they're going to teach you how to do something, right? That's my understanding.
Yes. They're quick courses that will give you the knowledge to move forward with confidence in starting your business. They're short, they're inexpensive, and it keeps you from needing to hire an attorney to handle legal issues.
Yeah, who wants to do that? Spend $2,000 for an attorney to do incorporation when you can do it yourself, like $100 or something. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And especially when you're starting a business, you want to keep your costs down, more money in your pocket, less for people like LegalZoom or attorneys. That really is a good concept. We really appreciate your time and grateful for Legal Steps for sponsoring our show, the Ask Brien Show. Thanks a lot, Nicole. Until next week, over and out.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Well, that was an interesting comment. So, now, let's go into a little bit further because we don't have that much time on the show today. So we went over backlinks as a major criteria, and you want to try to hook up with a company like LA Weekly or something that's going to help you out on the links. But there's another component, and that's content. So how does content raise me from page 30? Because I'm on page 30 in the Ooga Mooga industry. Mm-hmm. The Ooga Mooga industry is really, really important. I want to be on the top page of Ooga Mooga.
I mean, let's look at your content then, because what's your time on site?
What do you know about Ooga Mooga?
What's your time on? I know that domain's probably available. What's the time on site when visitors go to this website that you're referring to? So what's their experience like? That's how you can quantify their experience. Time on site, amount of pages they view. There's typically ongoing discussions about length of article or length.
So what is a good article length?
So the way I there's no answer to that, but one way you can figure it out how much long your article needs to be is you can go and do the keyword search and look at the top 10 results and see how long those articles are. If the longest article is only 250 words, then you probably don't need a 2,000 word article. You can probably just knock out a really well written article that's longer than that, a little longer than that. So there's really no general answer to it. But but if it's something that is very thorough, and also it's not just the length of the text, the contextual length. It's also the images in there, because if you have imagery that reflects your text, that just makes it more valuable. You have examples in there. You're writing and you show visual examples, because sometimes it's very hard to explain everything. Like you're on a medical website and you're reading about some type of a malady you have, or you're reading about it. It helps if there's something visual under there too. So imagine if you had something visual every 250 words or something visual. Imagine you had a 2,000 word article and you had 10 visual representations interspersed in. It'd be a better experience. You'd have more chance of staying on that site and going to another website.
Well, so let's just stay on that just a little bit. So on a 2,000 word, is there a certain amount of words that before you're putting in an image? Is it like if you have a 2,000 word article, so every 500 words you want to have a picture? Is something like that?
It helps. It helps. It doesn't always happen. I mean, there's a lot of other things you're working on, but it's recommended. But it has to be something quality. It can't just be a picture for picture's sake.
But does picture? So a picture will actually help you in SEO, even though it's not words, right?
Pictures will help you because it'll improve the experience. Also, you can do on-page SEO around the picture, around the image name, the alt tag, the title tag within the photo. So yeah, there's different things you can do.
What about video?
Video as well. Video helps too.
So video can help.
The same example. I mean, if you have an article, you're talking about legal steps, a DBA formation or incorporation or an S corp, and there's an article about it, and then there's also a video in there of somebody talking and explaining it. You're going to stay on that website. You're going to stay on that website.
Do you think video versus photo, which one's more valuable to have for SEO purposes?
I say there's like 10
You got to
things.
pick one.
There's 10 things you need to do to make two fists, to really, like your fist at the beginning of the show, to really do well. And that's one of the fingers in the fist.
We'll wait till you come back. You're going to have to think this over. You're going to have to pick video or picture. We'll be right back. KHTS 1220, 98.1 FM, The Ask Brien Show. Welcome back. You're listening to The Ask Brien Radio Show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. A great guest today, Isaac. Thank you very much so far for our show.
Thank you.
Some people want to know how they can reach you. And so, we're going to, by the way, we will be putting this on some, bad sites so everybody in the world knows, but go ahead.
Okay. How you can reach us, go to our website.
What website is that?
Go to Google.
They don't know your name.
Proactive SEO Solutions.
Spell it. Just like I spelled Brien.
Proactive.
I like the E.
SEO.
I like the other E.
Solutions, plural.
Solutions,
plural. My name is Isaac Rau.
And if they go to the website, how are they going to reach you or reach somebody at the company that they can talk to?
There's a contact form right there. There's a phone number they can just click to call. They can be on their phone. They can click to call, and they'll reach me or a member of my team. Because obviously we do have a good team. Because I'm sitting here right now talking about SEO. Who's doing the work? I have a nice team.
Well, I hope so.
Doing
Otherwise, those people are going to be waiting quite a while to get back to Long Beach to figure it out.
We have a fair number of clients, so I'm very lucky that we have a very good team. Who we have to start very early in the morning. We got a lot of clients on the East Coast, so we're starting every day 6:30, 7 a.m. So,
all right.
Yes, it's a lot. It's easy to talk about these tasks and this work and getting ranked, but there's a lot of little nuances and intricacies, and it's a lot more work than you think it would be. It's kind of like if you're going to remodel your bathroom, you just talk about it. Oh, we'll go do this. We'll go to Home Depot. We'll slap this on and this and that. And then, next thing you know, the person who's trying to remodel their bathroom, it takes 2 years. So there's a lot of difficult tasks take longer than you think they should. So it helps if you hire a company like us or talk to us because we know how to do it and we've done it hundreds of times quicker. then you could do it on your own.
Oh, that's great. So anyone who has missed any part of this show, we are also on a podcast. Produce Your Podcast is a company that sponsors or prepares the podcast version for us, and we're on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, anywhere you can get you can catch a podcast. We're all around. We're available anywhere. Also, there is a YouTube version as well, and you can also catch us on Facebook Live. So there's plenty of ways to catch the show if you missed it, and there's a lot of good information that you want. But probably your best bet's going to be calling Proactive SEO Solutions, because you really need to get a little bit more information, and it has to be customized to your specific need. I mean, it's not going to be the same for the bakery down the street if you have a online incorporation business or a radio station. So it'll always be good. We have about a minute and a half left, so we want to ask you a question. So if people are just starting out and don't know anything about SEO before they call you, and they figured out, okay, I'm on page 30, right? But they don't have enough money to pay you yet. So what can they do?
Well, one thing they could do. I don't want to just give you the same answer. You've had a lot of marketing people on this program. I'm sure you've learned a lot, you and Traci. But one thing they could do that they might need a little money is they can actually try to find an existing website in their industry that's already has rankings, that has ranking history. That's something they can do that's kind of like more unique, and that can kind of fast track everything, because ranking websites, they have a history of ranking, and maybe the owner wants to sell the website, or for whatever reason just kind of like stop working on the website, and we'll sell it for a small amount. But that's something they can do. That's something they can do to try to fast track their business. Find a website that has a history of ranking, that the owner sold their company, and the names would have to match up, or at least the services would have to match up a little. So I'm just trying to give you something a little different than maybe the typical marketing answer.
Well, that was great. We do have a lot more questions, but unfortunately, the hour is over. I'm crying already, and I know that's not empathy, and our engineer is like going, thank God I'm out of here. All right, you're listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM with Isaac Rau from Proactive SEO Solutions with a plural,
Peter.
and Traci, my co-host.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Till next week, over and out.